Okay, so here we go. So I have the camera a little bit different than usual, but I'm really excited to talk about impact and to talk about some of the things that are associated with impact that we often don't think about. So, for anybody who doesn't know who I am, my name is Deborah Heiser. I'm an applied developmental psychologist. I specialize in midlife and aging, and I wrote The Mentorship Edge. It's a book right here. And I founded the Mentor Project and was CEO of it for about 8 years. So I've been doing a lot of things that are looking at impact, that, measure impact and how that works for us. So, if we think about being midlife or older, a lot of people wonder once they hit midlife, have I done anything that matters? Um, have I made any impact? And that can be kind of frightening for people if you wonder, gee, have I done anything that matters? Have I made any impact? So, the problem that we have is that people don't see or remember their own impact on others. So, you might have done something really kind or given somebody advice or said something to somebody that really resonated with them and mattered to them, but you don't remember it, and you don't, so therefore you don't get to see the impact that you make. And I've seen this time and time again where people tell me that they don't think they make any impact, that they feel like I haven't done anything extraordinary. They think that impact means something really big, doing something that is putting yourself out there in a very memorable way to everybody. But really, impact is most often a lot of little acts that end up leading to big impact. So that's why it can be a problem for us. So we might, think of ourselves as not making impact when we really have done a lot of it. So there are a lot of invisible acts of kindness, mentoring, things like that fade from our memory. I know I get asked all the time, "Hey, would you like to donate to this cause?" when I go to buy something at a store. And a lot of times I'll say, "Sure," but I never remember that. It's not like I say, "Let me put that in my bank and, my bank of impact and remember that." I just don't remember it. And I'm not alone. A lot of people feel the same way where they'll say, "Oh, hi, good to see you," where they'll say, "I haven't made any impact. I'm not somebody who's doing anything that means anything. Therefore, I'm going to, just look at myself as somebody who doesn't matter." And I worked with some of the most unbelievably high level individuals, from astronauts to well known artists, and they couldn't remember the impact that they made. And I was like, come on, really? Like, that's unbelievable. So it doesn't matter who the person is. Most people will forget the invisible acts of kindness, like rounding up, giving a small donation here or there, giving a word of advice, encouragement to others, giving guidance to somebody who has a problem they're looking to solve or is just in a slump. We forget about these, and it's because we really have no way to connect in a way afterwards. It's awkward. You don't want to call somebody up and be like, "Hey, did you take that advice I gave you?" That's a real difficulty for people. It can be really, really difficult. Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you very much. I'm in the US. And again, for anybody who doesn't know, my name is Deborah Heiser. I'm an applied developmental psychologist. I specialize in midlife and aging. I was the founder of the Mentor Project and CEO for 8 years. I also wrote the Mentorship Edge. And I worked with over 100 really elite individuals. And one of the things that I learned that was so impressive to me, not in a way like, oh, wow, impressive, like an award kind of a thing, but impressive to me was that so many people didn't know they made impact. They knew they did things that, they did their job or they helped people out, but they didn't really know that they made a deep imprint in the world. And that troubled me because I thought, wow, all these people that I'm seeing doing amazing things, they're not seeing what they're doing. And that was difficult for me to comprehend. So a lot of midlife adults struggle to feel purpose because they don't get any external role recognition. And people aren't looking for applause as they go down the street. They're not looking for anything extraordinary. But it's when you do these small acts of kindness, or we volunteer, we mentor, we engage in philanthropy, even if that's just giving out $1, those sorts of things fade very quickly if we don't get reinforcement, if we don't acknowledge ourselves or have a way to sort of capture that and remember how much we've done. So when I was running the Mentor Project, it was interesting because we were, it's nice to meet you too. It must be late at night where you are. So the interesting thing was I worked with so many people and we were able to quantify their impact and say, you met with so many people. You did so many hours of mentorship. And just that small thing was able to really help because people could say, wow, I didn't realize, like last year in the 6 months, we gave away about $3.5 million of mentorship hours. And the quantification of that, being able to even break it down to who gave what, made a difference. So, it's so important for us in our everyday lives not to forget about what we are doing and not forget that every little act that we do is not insignificant. It's important. It matters in the grand scheme of things, especially if we're going to be saying to ourselves, I want to make sure that I have a footprint in the world. Well, imagine if you were able to quantify your impact and you were able to say to yourself, oh my gosh, I gave out, $100,000 worth of, mentoring, volunteering, philanthropy, kindness, whatever it is. That's where most people feel like they would like to have that. They would like to have that opportunity to feel that they have some kind of outward or external quantification of it. So, when we do, the importance of this is not just because we need to know this, it's that when people are doing and remembering their kind acts, it boosts our well-being. It makes us actually feel good. It does this for at least a few days. And that's super powerful because if we continue doing it and we remember, oh, I can link this great feeling that I get with having done that act, it's going to make us do more and it's going to make us feel better about what we do as opposed to it's just lost and gone. So there have been actual studies that have looked at this, that have said, hey, they have said, I am looking at kindness. How does this look when I take a look at kind acts that people do and how does that make them feel? Well, it actually makes them feel really good about themselves. And it's not just an emotional benefit, it actually turns into a physical benefit to them. And that's what's interesting. That's why we need to track our impact. We need to remember what we're doing. We need to jot it down or keep a mental track. Yeah, you know what? I just gave an extra dollar to the Girl Scouts today, or I did something kind to someone, or I gave advice to somebody, and keep a little bit of track of that because it does things like reduces stress. It strengthens social bonds that we have with others. It boosts our well-being. All of these things end up being really important things for combating loneliness, for doing things like helping us to live physically better lives, not just emotionally better lives. And simply remembering past kind acts increases our happiness as much as doing a new one, which I think is so incredibly powerful. Just knowing and remembering doing something kind, it makes us feel as good as if we had done it. So if we're able to put that in our bank, so to speak, of good acts that we're doing, it's going to make us feel like we're making impact and feel good. So it also, seeing us in that role allows us to feel empowered and have a sense of identity. most of us think of identity as a job title or title of being mom or wife or daughter or husband or, whatever. And we don't think of our acts as being any part of that. And so when we identify as being a kind person, part of our identity turns into being somebody who does good things. That is something that doesn't change with a job loss. It doesn't change when the kids leave home for college. It doesn't, or to go get married. None of that changes. You keep that title, that identity forever. So, in one study, they randomly assigned participants to 4 groups for 3 days to perform kind acts, recall past acts that were kind, or to do both or to do neither. And all 3 of the kindness groups showed greater gains in well-being. That means that they had more positive affect, meaning they felt better. They had less negative feelings and a higher life satisfaction. So they felt better about their life than the group that didn't engage in the kindness acts. So when we look at these things, they've done studies on this to look at how people feel afterwards about, kindness and their own acts and what their involvement in it is and how long lasting that is. And we see that there's a real important aspect to that. So from that particular article, our authors were really arguing that by recalling our pro-social behaviors, it reminds us that we are competent, that we are autonomous, meaning we can do things on our own, and that we're connected. So those things are really important for us psychologically. It really helps us to feel like we're good people. So if we remember specific times that we helped others become whatever it was that they were becoming, that is evidence for us in our own way of thinking about ourselves that we're good, that we're capable, that we're a related person connected with others. And this helps to raise our mood. We all want to feel competent. We all want to feel good about ourselves. We all want to feel like we're connected and needed. And that's what, making impact in tracking it does for us. It allows us to do that. So if we simply recall a person's helpful acts, it is as effective as performing new ones. So this lasts about 1 to 2 days. And this was done in research, this was researched. So in one paper, they suggested that logging and revisiting your past kindness is a really cost-effective happiness strategy. So how easy is that? If you do something nice and you write it down, you put it in your phone, you put it in your reminders, you put it in, make a list of it, whatever, you put it on your calendar to say you did something. It's something very easy. Those who do that and then look back on it actually get an actually really good feeling. So that is a cost-effective happiness strategy that doesn't cost a dime to do. So if we're able to, quantify our impact, log it, keep track of it, we're really going to be making progress for ourselves with regard to happiness. And that's, sort of insurance for later on as we grow older. So that's really something that most people don't really pay attention to. They don't know about it. They don't think about it. So another thing is that the number of kind acts that are performed predicts larger gains in positive affect. So the more you do matters. The more kind acts you do makes you feel better. They build on each other. And then the more you remember them also helps. So these are very easy things to do. It's not, you don't even have to go and interact with anybody to do them. You can do your kind act like you would normally do. Hold the door open for somebody, smile at somebody, say a kind word. I just had some really nice compliments in this stream. Those of you who did that, you can say, hey, I just did a kind act. Write that down. You just made my day. You made me feel good. That is an act of kindness that you could build upon. And when you remember doing that, you could say, wow, I made some impact there. And that's going to make you feel good. So tracking impact is important because pro-social behavior, like doing kind things, mentoring behaviors, things like that, increase our well-being. They buffer stress. It helps to reduce stress, and it helps to strengthen social bonds. And that is where, if we're in midlife, we're looking to have strengthened bonds. We're looking to have new identity in a way that's going to make us feel good about ourselves. We are looking to reduce our stress. We're looking at having long-term happiness gains. This is what we want. So this is, something that I'm putting out there. Nobody really talks about tracking impact in a way that is personal. You could go places and, keep track of how much you donate or things like that. But I encourage you to go and do this for yourself. Go to any place where you might donate and keep track of it. But you do way more than just when you donate to certain organizations. You can keep it all together in one place for yourself and look at that, and you're going to be shocked at really how impactful you are. When I have taken a look at this, and when I've heard from people, wow, what I said made a difference to them, or, I just met with a mentee today, somebody that I mentor, and she said, thank you for all you're doing. It really makes a difference to me. That makes me feel good. If I get to put that down and, keep track of that, and I add that to the other things that I do, that makes everything very different for me than if I just say, "Oh, thank you," and I forget I ever did that. So it's not trying to be self-involved. It's trying to remember some of the good things you did, because we're all built to want to be good people and to go do good things and to make the world a better place. But it can be very frustrating to us if we don't know that we're doing anything, if we feel like we're not doing anything. So some of the ways that you can do this is to log your any act of kindness that you have. You can mentor someone, give support to somebody. Like I said before, small, tiny acts, hold the door open for somebody, say something kind to somebody, log that, put that in. It doesn't have to be that you write it in. Maybe you just make little check marks. You have, your kindness section or your impact section where you just put a little mark and you remember that on this day you did 10 things that you wouldn't have thought of before. And one cool thing would be to map out who influenced you and who you influenced. So part of this making impact is we want to know that we make impact, but thank somebody who impacted you. I know that I wrote an article in Psychology Today about how moved a person was that he mentored someone, and I don't know, 20 or 30 years later, the person came back to him and said, that he wrote him an actual physical letter and mailed it to him and said, thank you. I was watching a television show and it reminded me of you and all that you taught me and everything that I learned from you. And that, that's all he said. And he just said, oh, thanks. I was just thinking of you. He was the mentor, the person who received that letter was so moved that he contacted me and he said, oh my goodness, look at this letter. And I read it and I was like, are you kidding me? That's amazing. This made his, not just day, but it really made him feel like his footprint was deep. He changed a person. He made somebody feel great. And he got to hear that and know that. So if you start to track it for yourself, and if you start to thank some of the people that you remember made a difference in your life, that could be an email, that could be a text, that could be a phone call, that could be you making a post about them on social media, whatever it is, that really does get the ball rolling. And other people will then start to remember the nice things that you did for them. And it opens the door up to different ways of thinking of things. that, we're all just doing because we enjoy doing it, because we like people, we like the people we're interacting with. So revisit any of the moments that you've had of connection anytime you can. If you're just feeling down, if you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling like, lonely, remember the times that you made impact. Remember the times that you, um, you know, did even small acts for people. You gave somebody advice that they liked and that they were happy with. You helped a person solve a problem. That you did any kind of a small donation somewhere, whatever it is. Maybe you volunteered for something. And even if you felt at the time like, oh, I don't want to do that, it's taken up a lot of my time. Anytime you make a kind comment to somebody, I just got another one right here. Thank you. That is something that you should put in your bank. As long as you actually mean these things, this is a big deal. So keep that in mind. Revisit these in times of loneliness and visualize your impact and your network of people that you are impacting. And think of them as your network. Think of them as a living tree. Think of them as, being on a map, and look at them and see them in your world as connections that you have, because that is going to allow you to feel like you are connected to individuals, that you are making impact with people. And that small act of just doing that is really important. And I bring this up about impact now because this is the holiday season for a lot of people. And this is a time when some people will think to themselves, I don't know if I've done a lot. It's also the giving season, and that can feel like pressure to people. Oh my gosh, I have to give in a specific way to specific places in certain ways. You are always giving every day. Like whenever you're commenting nice things to people, whenever you're doing something nice for someone, you're, you see somebody struggling and you help them out. All of that is impact. So if you can start to remember that, reflect on it. Anytime you do something, put it in your bank and keep a log of it, even if it's just in your brain. But do that and try to map it out in your mind. Look at it as all the people, and how are all these people connected? Do they have a connection in a certain way to each other, to you? Where are they? Are they at work? Are they in home? Are they in your religious institution? Are they in your community centers? Where are these people? Are they your longtime friends? And then see where they are. And when you do that, you're able to then capitalize on doing more of that. And then you might say, I didn't realize I'm not doing as much of this as I wanted to at work. Let me do more at work. Or, oh, I want to do more of this at home with my family. It really makes you see your world as much bigger than we often think of it. We often make our world nice and narrow so that we don't really see ourselves and how connected we are with people all around the world in many different facets and many different ways. And when we do, that is what allows us to feel the impact that is a more lasting feeling of impact. So my thinking is make a little impact log for yourself. It can't hurt. It's free. If it doesn't work, don't do it any longer, but just give it a shot. Try it out. Record anytime you mentor somebody, anytime you're doing a kind act, anytime you're giving support to somebody. You can do this the other way also, and then you can share with people who've impacted you. It goes both ways. We gain from both. Think of everyone as being a dynamic relationship for you. So even if you are impacting somebody else and helping somebody else, you are getting something from that. So think of it as bidirectional, as you're really both gaining from it. You're both influencing each other. The impact is going both ways. In one way, it might be that you are helping a person solve a problem, but what you're getting out of that is an emotional piggy bank filled with impact. Think of the legacy that you're creating with that. Visualize it. Think of it as a tree or a network that's showing generational influence, because anything that we do doesn't stop with just that one act. I know that I'm going to go teach. I'm going to be leaving here in about a half an hour to go teach. And it's really cool. The place where I teach, the students are really good about holding the door open for the person behind them. They just do it. And I had to have started with one person who did it and somebody else saw it, it got modeled, and it just happened over and over again. And it's become a part of the culture. You can change a culture. You can start a culture that has to do with your values. It has to do with anything that you think highly of. It could be your culture, it could be your values, it could be your religion, whatever it is that you find important, traditions, and you can pass those down just by modeling it. So if we're able to, visualize the legacy that we leave, even if it's that we bring a culture of kindness to an institution, that's a big deal. And then revisit any of the past acts that you've done to boost your well-being. Like sometimes you just need to, you're feeling a little low and you need to be able to look at yourself and say, you know what? I'm a good person. I do good things. I'm going to reflect on all the good things that I do. Even if they're small, they add up. All the small ones. And it's like putting a jar of pennies together. Eventually, they become big dollars. So the same with acts of kindness. Um, when you're doing these things, also be very intentional about the acts that you're going to do moving forward. Seek meaning and purpose in the acts that you're doing and any legacy building that you might have to it. So you could keep doing small things, but remember that there's meaning and purpose to all of that so that you can feel really good about it. It can enhance how you feel about something that you're already doing anyway. Um, Use technology to do this. You have a whole platform of social media that you can do this. There was one person that I saw on, I think it was TikTok, and the person was he created a whole group that would do like bombing. They would like people's accounts and get a whole lot of people to go and accounts that were doing good things. So you can do this anywhere. It doesn't matter where, you're still going to make impact. So get comfortable with technology, value authenticity, your own authenticity, what makes you feel good. Don't do this for somebody else. Do it for you, do it for the connection, do it for how it makes you feel good. Um, and allow yourself. This is not the time to be humble. This is not the time to think to yourself, oh, I should do it. I'm so humble. No, see yourself as having made a difference. You are important. That's what you need to see is your own importance. This is the time to really, allow yourself to feel good. And see if this has any kind of attachment to your family. Did anybody else do any of these kind acts? Were other people mentors? How did things get passed down that you're doing? What makes you want to do some of these things that you do? And see if there are any intergenerational bonds. Maybe there are intergenerational bonds within your family or within your workplace or within your friend group or wherever. And see how that looks, because this is something that you could really capitalize on. So just, to show that the scientific evidence shows that pro-social behavior and kindness boost well-being. It reduces stress. This is helpful to you. You do not have to pay a penny to get these great effects. You just have to do something kind. That's easy. We're all doing it all the time. Just simply recalling your past kindnesses is helpful. So write them down, put them somewhere, like remind yourself of what you have done. Because when you are reminding yourself, you're going to feel good. And mentoring and visible impact increases your social connections and reduces loneliness. We have a loneliness epidemic in the United States, in England, and other parts of the world. And in order to reduce that, when we get out and we connect with others, we are working to reduce loneliness. So this is also something very helpful for your identity. Everyone wants to feel like they make a difference, like they matter, like they make meaning. And this is a way to do that so that you can do this for yourself. It doesn't cost a penny and it's very therapeutic. So that's all I had for today. I hope that you are really feeling the impact that you make, knowing that you make impact, knowing that you're important in the world and that your footprint is deep. And I hope that you start logging your impact.